my reading, our understanding of the OI documents and whatever is not redacted, we believe that the issue between the Cook Islands and New Zealand has escalated from now abundant passport proposal to China agreement to now sort of like a disagreement between what is the status of the relationship. And what and why I say this is because I've also gone and seen the OIA that was released by New Zealand. Cook Islands' understanding under JCD and other documents is that we are equal partners, and there is a reciprocal sort of obligation by both parties as per the JCD, which is plain and clear. But in one of the documents released by New Zealand, and I think it's Minister Winston Peters' office, he clearly states that Cook Islands is an associate state of New Zealand, which, from my understanding, is not equal. So I'm just trying to understand, is the bone of contention between the two countries now on what is the status of the relationship, and is that what is delaying or sort of slowing the repair works that is going on between the two nations?
Yeah, I think the status of the relationship we've been very clear on and outlined this to New Zealand, both from a constitutional and legal perspective and also from a convention as well. And the thing that we understand is that the way the Constitution was drafted and written in 1965 was reflected the reality of the situation in those times. 60 years later, as I said, the Cook Islands has come a long way in terms of now being classified as a developed country. We have to pull our own weight, we have to stand on our own 2 feet, something that we've done quite well, but something that we've had to do by engagement with other countries. The one thing that we need to understand is the Cook Islands and New Zealand are two very separate jurisdictions. Cook Islands operates under Cook Island law, and New Zealand operates under New Zealand law. And the law in both countries is promulgated by the parliaments in each country. So there may be a thinking that the relationship is asymmetrical, but conversely we have a thinking that no, the relationship is actually one of partnership. And it has been growing as one of equal partnership over the years through the growth and maturity of the country and through the Cook Islands. The Cook Islands growing identity and sovereignty as a country engaging with the rest of the world. To think that we're an associate of New Zealand is, I guess, showing that we don't really understand the concept of the realm of New Zealand. And that is where we've been looking at our position as part of the realm of New Zealand, which is made up of 5 territories and countries. So New Zealand is one, the Cook Islands is one, Niue. Tokelau is an administrated territory, and the Ross Dependency. And each one has a different type of sovereign personality. So to suggest that the Cook Islands somehow is under the control of New Zealand is not correct from our perspective.
We got now new MFI head who's got extensive dealings with New Zealand. I think she was the High Commissioner in New Zealand when Mr. Peters was under the Labour government. How confident are you now with talks sort of moving ahead with her experience and her connections? And do you think that this impasse or this deadlock will come to an end next year? In some way it might, because we've got elections in New Zealand too, so I don't know what happens. So what is your feeling like, based on the progress, would say, let's say progress made this year and moving into next year?
Yeah, I think I'd just like to say that the appointment of Liz as the new Foreign Affairs Secretary is a good one. Liz brings such a lot of experience into the job, both as a former Chief of Staff of the Office of the Prime Minister, as a diplomat, as a High Commissioner based in Wellington, and then just recently as a head of one of our more important ministries of infrastructure, something totally different from her normal field of work. So she comes into the job now as a well-rounded, highly experienced public servant, and I have a lot of confidence that her contribution will help us in our discussions with New Zealand moving forward. And I'm confident that we will move forward with New Zealand, and that this issue of the constitutional relationship is something that, if it comes down to it as being the main issue, is something that we will be able to address, and maybe in a way where we can look to enhance, if you like, the current JCD, with discussions on, okay, how do we move forward as a country, recognizing the Cook Islands sovereign identity as a country in the world, as a member of a number of international treaties and organizations. How do we reconcile that with the Cook Islands as part of the realm countries of New Zealand?
I'm sure you'll be aware that New Zealand signed an agreement or a sort of a new pact with Niue to clear their positions on where they stand. And I'm not too sure. It was your interview with Derek Fox that you said that Cook Islands will be willing to sign something along the lines that will clarify New Zealand's position in terms of security in the region or in the realm. Would something that New Zealand has signed similar to Niue something that would be of interest, or is that something that is part of the discussions?
Yes, well, I've made suggestions to New Zealand that if there is concerns about areas of defence and security, that we are quite happy to enter into a formal arrangement or formal agreement which ring fences security and defence and policing as areas that the Cook Islands will enter into only with New Zealand. And this is something that's on the table with New Zealand to consider, to address those issues around security and defence. As far as the New Zealand agreement with Niue, we have to understand that Niue is very different from the Cook Islands in that they are one island with a small population and very dependent on New Zealand support, whereas the Cook Islands, as I said, has matured and grown as a country with 15 islands, our 2 million square kilometres of ocean now extended with our extended continental shelf, a very different sovereign personality. So the future agreements that we look at to enter into with New Zealand to clarify our positions need to be done in a way that ensures the protection of our sovereign identity, whilst reconciling the constitutional relationship we have with New Zealand to the satisfaction of us both.